The crystal chandeliers of the sprawling Seoul mansion glittered, reflecting the arrogant smirk playing on Eun-Woo's lips. A low hum of nervous chatter filled the air, punctuated by the clinking of champagne glasses. The annual Eun-Woo Tech Innovation Gala was in full swing, a lavish display of wealth and intellectual prowess, or at least, the illusion of it. Tonight, however, the innovation felt secondary. The main event was the puzzle. It was Eun-Woo's tradition, a flamboyant test of intellect disguised as entertainment for his elite guests. This year's puzzle, a complex amalgamation of cryptography, advanced mathematics, and obscure historical references, was rumored to be his most challenging yet. He'd commissioned a team of MIT graduates to design it, bragging openly that it was unsolvable. The prize? A cool $3 million. "I'll give $3 million if she solves it," Eun-Woo declared, his voice booming through the sound system. He gestured theatrically towards the elaborate, multifaceted contraption displayed on a rotating platform in the center of the ballroom. It resembled a futuristic Rubik's Cube, its surfaces covered in cryptic symbols and intricate gears. A wave of murmurs rippled through the crowd. Heads turned, eyes narrowed, and a palpable sense of competition filled the room. Doctors, lawyers, CEOs, and renowned academics, all hungry for the challenge, and perhaps more so, for the bragging rights. Then, Eun-Woo laughed. A condescending, dismissive laugh that echoed through the hall. The camera zoomed in on his perfect features, capturing the sheer amusement in his eyes. He wasn't laughing with them, he was laughing at them. The source of his amusement? Kim Min-ji, the new housekeeper. Min-ji was unobtrusive, almost invisible. She moved silently through the mansion, dusting antique furniture and polishing silver with a quiet efficiency. She wore a simple uniform, her dark hair pulled back in a severe bun, her face devoid of makeup. She was the antithesis of the glamorous guests surrounding her. Eun-Woo had noticed her observing the puzzle earlier, her brow furrowed in concentration. He found it utterly absurd. The idea that she, a simple housekeeper, could even begin to comprehend the complexities of the puzzle, let alone solve it, was laughable. Really, Eun-Woo chided his mother, Madame Cha, a woman whose elegance was matched only by her shrewdness. "Must you be so obvious? It's hardly sporting." "Mother, relax," Eun-Woo replied, his eyes still fixed on Min-ji. "It's just a bit of fun. She's probably just admiring the craftsmanship." He sauntered over to where Min-ji stood, near the edge of the crowd, her gaze fixed on the rotating puzzle. "Enjoying the show, Min-ji?" he asked, his voice dripping with condescension. Min-ji didn't flinch. She simply nodded, her eyes never leaving the puzzle. "It is intricate, sir." "Intricate?" "It's practically impenetrable. Designed by geniuses, you know. Something a little beyond the grasp of the average mind." He chuckled again, expecting her to shrink under his gaze. Instead, Min-ji turned to him, her eyes surprisingly sharp. "With all due respect, sir, complexity doesn't always equate to intelligence. Sometimes, the solution lies in simplicity." Eun-Woo raised an eyebrow, intrigued despite himself. "Oh? And do you see a simple solution, Min-ji?" "Perhaps," she replied, her voice barely a whisper. He couldn't resist. "All right, Min-ji. I'll make you a deal. You think you can solve it? Go ahead. I'll give you $3 million if you do. Solve it in the next hour. But if you fail, you clean the entire West Wing, top to bottom, tonight. Deal?" The room went silent. All eyes were on Min-ji. The guests, initially amused by Eun-Woo's taunt, were now captivated by the audacity of his challenge. The stakes had been raised. Min-ji hesitated for a moment, then nodded. "Deal." Eun-Woo grinned, supremely confident. He gestured towards the puzzle. Be my guest. Min-ji stepped forward, leaving the safety of the shadows. She approached the puzzle with a quiet confidence that belied her humble attire. She didn't touch it immediately. She simply observed, circling it slowly, her eyes scanning every detail, every symbol, every gear. The hour began. The guests watched with bated breath. Some snickered, convinced Min-ji was wasting her time. Others, perhaps sensing a shift in the atmosphere, watched with a growing sense of unease. Eun-Woo, initially amused, started to feel a flicker of nervousness. He tried to dismiss it, telling himself it was impossible, that she was simply putting on a show. But the intensity in her eyes, the focused concentration on her face, was unsettling. Minutes ticked by. Min-ji remained silent, her movements deliberate and precise. She occasionally reached out to touch a specific section of the puzzle, her fingers tracing the intricate designs. 30 minutes passed. Still no progress. The murmurs started again, this time laced with anticipation. Eun-Woo began to sweat. He'd made a rash promise, fueled by arrogance and a desire to humiliate. Now, he was starting to regret it. Then, Min-ji spoke. Her voice, clear and steady, cut through the silence. The key isn't in the complexity, she announced, her eyes still fixed on the puzzle. It's in the history. She explained her reasoning, her words precise and articulate. She revealed that the symbols on the puzzle were not random, but rather a cipher based on an obscure Korean dynasty, a dynasty Eun-Woo, despite his vast education, had clearly overlooked. She pointed out the mathematical equations were actually coded dates, corresponding to significant events in that dynasty's history. The gears, she explained, represented the cyclical nature of time, and the alignment of the symbols at specific dates would unlock the solution. A collective gasp swept through the room. The guests, who had dismissed her as a simple housekeeper, were now witnessing a display of intellectual prowess that surpassed their own. Min-ji then began to manipulate the puzzle, her movements fluid and confident. She turned the gears, aligned the symbols, and inputted the coded dates with astonishing speed and accuracy. The tension in the room was palpable. Eun-Woo watched, his face pale, his initial amusement replaced by a growing sense of dread. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, Min-ji stepped back. She took a deep breath, and with a final, decisive movement, she clicked a hidden latch. A soft click echoed through the room. The puzzle unlocked. A hidden compartment sprang open, revealing a small, intricately carved wooden box. Inside the box lay a single, perfect pearl. Silence. Then, a thunderous applause erupted. The guests, stunned and impressed, erupted in cheers. They had witnessed the impossible. A housekeeper, dismissed and underestimated, had outsmarted them all. Eun-Woo stood frozen, his face a mask of disbelief and humiliation. He had been so confident, so arrogant. He had underestimated Min-ji, blinded by his own privilege and preconceived notions. Madame Cha, however, was beaming. She approached Min-ji, her eyes sparkling with admiration. "Well done, Min-ji," she said, extending her hand. "I always knew there was more to you than met the eye." Eun-Woo, finally snapping out of his stupor, reluctantly approached Min-ji. He pulled out his checkbook, his hand trembling slightly. "Here," he mumbled, scribbling a check for $3 million. He handed it to Min-ji, avoiding her gaze. Min-ji accepted the check, but she didn't smile. She looked at Eun-Woo, her eyes filled with a quiet sadness. "Thank you, sir," she said. "But I don't want the money." Eun-Woo stared at her, confused. "What?" "But, I offered it." "You solved the puzzle." "I solved the puzzle not for the money, but to prove a point," Min-ji explained. "That intelligence is not confined to social status or education. That everyone deserves to be seen, to be heard, to be respected. She paused, then continued. I would like you to donate this money to a scholarship fund for underprivileged students. Students who, like me, may not have had the same opportunities as others, but who possess the same potential. Eun-Woo was speechless. He had expected gratitude, perhaps even a little gloating. He had never expected this. He looked at Min-ji, really looked at her, for the first time. He saw not a simple housekeeper, but a woman of intelligence, integrity, and compassion. He nodded slowly. I will, he said, his voice barely a whisper. The applause erupted again, even louder than before. This time, it was not just for her intelligence, but for her generosity and her unwavering belief in equality. Min-ji smiled, a genuine smile that lit up her face. She had shocked everyone, not just with her intellect, but with her humanity. The aftermath of the gala was profound. Eun-Woo, humbled by the experience, followed through on his promise, establishing the Min-ji Scholarship Fund, which quickly became one of the most prestigious scholarship programs in Korea. He also made a conscious effort to treat everyone with respect, regardless of their social standing. He learned a valuable lesson that night, a lesson that changed his life forever. Min-ji continued to work as a housekeeper, but her role had changed. She was no longer invisible. She became a symbol of hope and inspiration for countless others. She proved that intelligence and compassion can be found in the most unexpected places, and that everyone has the potential to achieve greatness, regardless of their background. She became a reminder that true wealth lies not in money, but in character. The story of the housekeeper who solved the unsolvable puzzle became a legend, a testament to the power of the human spirit. And Eun-Woo, the man who had once laughed at her, became her biggest advocate, forever grateful for the lesson she had taught him. The pearl remained on his desk, a constant reminder of the night Min-ji shocked everyone, and in doing so, changed everything. The gala became less about showing off, and more about celebrating the hidden potential within everyone. Even the most humble among us. Years passed. The Min-ji Scholarship Fund flourished, providing opportunities for countless bright young minds who otherwise would have been denied access to quality education. Eun-Woo, transformed by his encounter with Min-ji, dedicated himself to philanthropic endeavors, using his wealth and influence to create positive change in the world. He even started a program within Eun-Woo Tech to actively seek out and mentor talent from underprivileged backgrounds, recognizing that innovation could come from anywhere, regardless of pedigree. He often visited schools and community centers, sharing the story of Min-ji, emphasizing the importance of humility, respect, and the inherent worth of every individual. He became a vocal advocate for social justice, challenging the deeply ingrained classism that permeated Korean society. His transformation wasn't just superficial, it was a fundamental shift in his worldview. One day, years after the infamous gala, Eun-Woo received a message that Min-ji wished to speak with him. He hadn't seen her in person since that night, though he knew she was aware of the impact of the scholarship fund. He immediately rearranged his schedule and drove to the small community center where she now volunteered, teaching literacy to elderly citizens. He found her in a small, sun-drenched classroom, surrounded by smiling faces. She looked older, her hair streaked with gray, but her eyes still held that same spark of intelligence and quiet determination. Min-ji, he said, his voice filled with genuine warmth. It's good to see you. She smiled, her wrinkles deepening around her eyes. Eun-Woo SSI. Thank you for coming. They sat down at a small table, surrounded by stacks of books and papers. After exchanging pleasantries about the success of the scholarship fund and the positive impact it was having, Min-ji turned serious. I have a favor to ask of you, Eun-Woo SSI, she said. He leaned forward, attentive. Anything, Min-ji. You know that. There's a young woman, she began, one of the students I tutor here. Her name is Hannah. She's incredibly bright, a natural mathematician. But her family is struggling. They can barely afford to keep her in school. She's applied for the Min-ji scholarship, but the competition is fierce. Eun-Woo nodded. I understand. The selection process is rigorous. I know, Min-ji said. But Hannah, she has something special. She sees the world differently. She has the potential to do great things. But without the scholarship, she'll be forced to drop out of school and work to support her family. Eun-Woo thought for a moment. He knew the scholarship committee was independent, and he didn't want to interfere with their process. But he also knew that Min-ji had a remarkable intuition, a knack for recognizing hidden potential. Tell me about Hannah, he said. Min-ji's face lit up as she described Hannah's intelligence, her dedication, and her unwavering spirit. She spoke of Hannah's passion for mathematics, her ability to solve complex problems with elegant simplicity, and her dream of using her skills to develop sustainable energy solutions. As Min-ji spoke, Eun-Woo felt a familiar stirring of inspiration. He remembered the night of the gala, the way Min-ji had approached the puzzle with quiet confidence, the way she had seen through the complexity to find the simple solution. He realized that Min-ji wasn't just a brilliant problem solver, she was a brilliant judge of character, a gifted mentor. He made a decision. I can't guarantee Hannah will receive the scholarship, he said. But I can promise you this, I will personally mentor her. I will provide her with the resources and support she needs to pursue her dreams. And if she proves herself worthy, I will ensure that she has the opportunity to attend the best university in the country, regardless of whether she receives the scholarship. Min-ji's eyes filled with tears. Thank you, Eun-Woo, she said, her voice choked with emotion. You won't regret it. And she was right. Hannah, under Eun-Woo's mentorship, blossomed into a brilliant young scientist. She excelled in her studies, conducted groundbreaking research, and eventually developed a revolutionary new type of solar panel that was both more efficient and more affordable than existing technologies. Her invention had the potential to transform the energy industry, providing clean and sustainable power to millions of people around the world. Hannah became a global icon, a symbol of hope and innovation. And she never forgot the two people who had believed in her, who had given her the opportunity to pursue her dreams: Min-ji, the housekeeper who saw her potential, and Eun-Woo, the CEO who dared to invest in her. Years later, at a prestigious international conference on sustainable energy, Hannah stood on stage, accepting an award for her groundbreaking invention. In her acceptance speech, she told the story of Min-ji and Eun-Woo, the story of the housekeeper who solved the unsolvable puzzle and the CEO who learned the value of humility. I am standing here today because of two remarkable individuals who taught me the importance of believing in myself and the power of giving back, she said, her voice filled with emotion. They showed me that intelligence and compassion can be found in the most unexpected places, and that everyone has the potential to make a difference in the world. The audience erupted in applause, moved by Hannah's inspiring story. Eun-Woo, who was in the audience, felt a surge of pride and gratitude. He knew that he had made the right decision, not just in donating the money to the scholarship fund, but in embracing the lesson that Min-ji had taught him. He looked at Min-ji, who was sitting nearby, her eyes sparkling with pride. He smiled, and she smiled back. They didn't need to say anything. They understood each other perfectly. The story of the housekeeper who solved the unsolvable puzzle, the CEO who learned the value of humility, and the young scientist who changed the world became a timeless tale, a testament to the transformative power of kindness, compassion, and the unwavering belief in the potential of every human being. It proved that true success wasn't measured in wealth or power, but in the positive impact one had on the lives of others. And it all started with a laugh, a challenge, and a housekeeper who shocked everyone. And the pearl on Eun-Woo's desk continued to serve as a reminder: look beyond the surface, because brilliance can reside anywhere. The legacy of that soul mansion, once a symbol of exclusive wealth, transformed into a beacon of inclusive opportunity. Eun-Woo, no longer defined by his inherited fortune but by his active philanthropy, dedicated his life to dismantling the barriers that prevented talented individuals from reaching their full potential. He established mentorship programs, funded research initiatives, and championed educational reforms, his efforts rippling outwards to touch countless lives across Korea and beyond. He never forgot the initial arrogance that led him to challenge Min-ji. He often recounted the story, not to glorify his own transformation, but to illustrate the insidious nature of prejudice and the importance of challenging one's own biases. The $3 million, initially intended as a boastful prize, became the cornerstone of a foundation that empowered generations. Min-ji, though remaining a humble and unassuming figure, became a national treasure. She continued her work at the community center, mentoring young people and advocating for the elderly. She received numerous awards and accolades, but she always deflected the attention, preferring to shine the spotlight on the achievements of her students and the importance of community service. Her wisdom and compassion were sought after by leaders and ordinary citizens alike. Hannah, true to her word, used her influence to promote sustainable development and environmental protection. Her solar panels powered remote villages, provided clean energy to hospitals, and reduced carbon emissions on a global scale. She became a role model for aspiring scientists and engineers, particularly women, inspiring them to pursue their passions and make a positive impact on the world. Decades later, Eun-Woo, now an elderly man, sat in his office, overlooking the bustling city of Seoul. The pearl still rested on his desk, its smooth surface reflecting the city lights. He received a call informing him that Min-ji was gravely ill. He rushed to her bedside at the small, unassuming hospital where she was being treated. Hannah was already there, holding Min-ji's hand. Min-ji, frail and weak, opened her eyes and smiled when she saw Eun-Woo. "Eun-Woo SSI," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "Thank you, for everything." Eun-Woo took her hand, his own trembling slightly. "No, Min-ji," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "Thank you. You changed my life. You showed me what truly matters." Min-ji smiled again, then closed her eyes. A few moments later, she passed away peacefully, surrounded by the people who loved her. The news of Min-ji's death spread quickly, and the nation mourned. Thousands of people lined the streets to pay their respects as her funeral procession passed by. Eun-Woo and Hannah walked side by side, their faces etched with grief. At the funeral, Eun-Woo delivered a eulogy, his voice filled with emotion. He spoke of Min-ji's intelligence, her compassion, and her unwavering belief in the potential of every human being. He recounted the story of the gala, the unsolvable puzzle, and the housekeeper who shocked everyone. "Min-ji taught me that true wealth lies not in money or power, but in character," he said. "She showed me that everyone deserves to be seen, to be heard, to be respected. And she inspired me to use my privilege to create a more just and equitable world." He paused, his voice cracking with emotion. "I will never forget her," he said. "And I will continue to honor her legacy by fighting for the values she stood for as long as I live." After the funeral, Eun-Woo returned to his office. He sat at his desk, staring at the pearl. He picked it up, holding it in his hand. It felt warm and smooth, a tangible reminder of Min-ji's presence. He knew that Min-ji's spirit would live on, not just in the scholarship fund and the lives she had touched, but in the hearts of everyone who had been inspired by her story. He also knew that the work was far from over. There were still barriers to be broken, inequalities to be addressed, and opportunities to be created. He made a vow, a solemn promise to Min-ji, to continue the fight for a better world, a world where everyone had the chance to reach their full potential, regardless of their background or circumstances. He placed the pearl back on his desk, its gentle luminescence illuminating the room. He looked out at the city, at the millions of people who were striving to build a better future. He knew that Min-ji would be proud. The mansion, once a symbol of arrogance and exclusion, now stood as a testament to the power of humility, compassion, and the transformative potential of the human spirit. It was a reminder that true greatness lies not in wealth or power, but in the ability to see the inherent worth of every individual and to work towards a world where everyone has the opportunity to shine. And it all began with a laugh, a challenge, and a housekeeper who shocked everyone. The echo of her quiet revolution continued to resonate, a gentle but powerful force shaping a more just and equitable world, one pearl of wisdom at a time. The $3 million joke became the catalyst for enduring change, a testament to the extraordinary potential hidden within the ordinary. And Eun-Woo, the man who had learned the hard way, dedicated the rest of his life to ensuring that no one else would make the same mistake he had. The story, passed down through generations, became a timeless reminder that judging a book by its cover could mean missing out on a world of brilliance. The pearl on Eun-Woo's desk wasn't just a decorative object, it became a symbol, a tangible representation of his commitment. He commissioned a series of documentaries, showcasing the stories of individuals who had benefited from the Min-ji Scholarship Fund. These films weren't just feel-good narratives, they were meticulously crafted analyses of the systemic inequalities that plagued Korean society, highlighting the need for comprehensive reform. He leveraged his influence within the corporate world, pushing for fair labor practices, equal pay, and opportunities for advancement for employees from all backgrounds. He faced resistance, of course. Many of his peers saw his efforts as idealistic, even naive. They accused him of betraying his class, of pandering to the masses. But Eun-Woo refused to be deterred. He knew that true progress required challenging the status quo, even if it meant alienating those who benefited from it. He even ventured into politics, not to seek power for himself, but to advocate for policies that would level the playing field. He supported legislation that provided funding for public schools in underprivileged areas, expanded access to healthcare, and protected the rights of marginalized communities. His political activism was met with fierce opposition from conservative forces, who saw him as a threat to their entrenched power. But Eun-Woo remained steadfast, unwavering in his commitment to creating a more just and equitable society. Hannah, meanwhile, continued to push the boundaries of scientific innovation. Her solar panels became ubiquitous, powering homes, businesses, and even entire cities. She established a foundation to support research into renewable energy technologies, funding projects that were too risky or unconventional for traditional investors. She became a global leader in the fight against climate change, advocating for international cooperation and sustainable development. She also became a mentor to countless young scientists, particularly women and minorities, inspiring them to pursue their passions and make a difference in the world. She understood the importance of representation, of showing young people that they could achieve anything, regardless of their background or circumstances. One day, Hannah approached Eun-Woo with a new idea. She wanted to establish a university dedicated to fostering innovation and social entrepreneurship. The university would be open to students from all backgrounds, regardless of their financial means. It would offer a curriculum that combined rigorous academic training with practical skills, preparing students to solve real-world problems and create positive change in their communities. Eun-Woo was immediately enthusiastic about the idea. He pledged a significant portion of his wealth to fund the university, and he used his influence to attract other donors and partners. Together, they created a world-class institution that became a beacon of hope and opportunity for young people from all over the world. The university was named Min-ji University, in honor of the housekeeper who had inspired them all. The campus was designed to be sustainable and environmentally friendly, reflecting Hannah's commitment to renewable energy and environmental protection. The curriculum was designed to be innovative and interdisciplinary, encouraging students to think critically and creatively about the challenges facing the world. Min-ji University quickly became one of the most prestigious universities in the world, attracting top students and faculty from all over the globe. Its graduates went on to become leaders in business, government, science, and the arts, making a positive impact on communities around the world. Years passed. Eun-Woo and Hannah continued to work together, supporting each other's efforts to create a better world. They faced challenges and setbacks, but they never gave up on their vision. They knew that true progress was a long and arduous journey, but they were determined to stay the course. One evening, Eun-Woo and Hannah were sitting together in Eun-Woo's office, overlooking the city of Seoul. They were both elderly now, their faces lined with wrinkles, but their eyes still sparkled with the same passion and determination that had driven them for so many years. "Do you ever think about that night, Hannah?" Eun-Woo asked, referring to the night of the gala, when Min-ji had solved the unsolvable puzzle. Hannah smiled. "Of course," she said. "It was the night everything changed." Eun-Woo nodded. "I was such a fool back then," he said. "So arrogant and blind. I couldn't see the brilliance that was right in front of me." "You learned," Hannah said gently. "And you made amends. You turned a moment of shame into a lifetime of good." Eun-Woo looked at Hannah, his eyes filled with gratitude. "I couldn't have done it without you," he said. "You inspired me to be a better person." Hannah smiled again. "We inspired each other," she said. "And together, we inspired countless others." They sat in silence for a moment, watching the city lights twinkle below. They knew that their work was far from over, but they also knew that they had made a difference. They had created a legacy that would continue to inspire generations to come. The pearl on Eun-Woo's desk continued to glow, a constant reminder of the housekeeper who had shocked everyone and the CEO who had learned the value of humility. It was a symbol of hope, a testament to the transformative power of kindness, compassion, and the unwavering belief in the potential of every human being. And it all started with a laugh, a challenge, and a housekeeper who proved that brilliance can reside anywhere, waiting for someone to recognize its light. The $3 million, initially offered in jest, blossomed into an immeasurable wealth of opportunity, a legacy that echoed through the halls of Min-ji University and far beyond, a testament to the enduring power of a single act of humility. The pearl's luminescence seemed to intensify as they sat in comfortable silence, a silent witness to their shared journey. Eun-Woo reached out and gently touched the pearl, a wave of memories washing over him. He thought of Min-ji's quiet dignity, her unwavering intelligence, and her profound impact on his life. He realized that the true value of the pearl wasn't monetary, it was a symbol of the priceless lessons he had learned from her. He turned to Hannah, his gaze filled with warmth. "Hannah SSI," he said, "I've been thinking. We've done so much, but there's still more to do. The systemic inequalities that Min-ji faced are still prevalent, even if they're more subtle now." Hannah nodded in agreement. "The fight for equality is a never-ending one," she said. "Complacency is the enemy." Eun-Woo leaned forward, his voice filled with renewed determination. "I want to create a global initiative," he said. "A program that identifies and supports talented individuals from underprivileged backgrounds all over the world. We'll provide them with access to education, mentorship, and resources to help them achieve their full potential." Hannah's eyes lit up. "That's a brilliant idea, Eun-Woo SSI," she said. "We can call it the Min-ji Global Scholars Program." Eun-Woo smiled. "Perfect," he said. "We'll need to build a team, raise funds, and—" Min-ji smiled, a genuine smile that lit up her face. She had shocked everyone not just with her intelligence, but with her integrity. And as the crowd slowly dispersed, still buzzing about what they'd witnessed, Eun-Woo stood in the middle of the ballroom, changed. For the first time in years, he questioned everything, the arrogance, the assumptions, the idea that worth was tied to wealth or prestige. Later that week, he announced the creation of the Min-ji Scholars Fund, a program that would support gifted students from low-income families across Korea. It was fully funded by the original $3 million, and then some. He never mentioned her name in the press. But Min-ji, quietly returning to her duties, began receiving letters from students, parents, even teachers thanking her for inspiring change. And each morning, as she walked past the now empty pedestal where the puzzle once stood, she smiled to herself. She didn't need cameras. She didn't need credit. She had already solved the only puzzle that truly mattered. How to be seen and still remain kind.